minutes to go.
Yeah, true. Like, are you in Bali or in Jakarta, Pak?
I'm in Pancoran, Jakarta.
Oh,
In Pancoran. Nearby the.
Yeah.
Our neighbor.
Plan to go home next week probably.
Next week, okay.
Yeah.
So how is Sampoerna?
Sampoerna, yes.
So everyone is back to campus.
Yes, we have conducted hybrid already, right?
Hybrid.
And then because we started the semesters a bit earlier, so I think we will finish that soon. Third week of April. So I think pas Lebaran, it's good time for us to take rest a little bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You start earlier, right? In January.
Yes, exactly on the 2nd of January.
On the 2nd of January, yes. Okay. Right. 1:30 already, I think, Bu Siti Aisah.
Okay.
We can start.
No? Okay.
Paika, good luck.
Thank you, Pak.
All right, yeah.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to all of the participants of a research talk webinar held by International Office of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University in collaboration with English Department of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University and also Sampoerna University, Jakarta. Welcome to Dr. Ewayan Ekabudiarta. Thank you very much indeed for your time to deliver a little bit research talk. Quite heavy actually when I read the title. The title is Vocabulary Profile and Lexical Bundles of EFL Academic Writing, a corpus-based study in English teaching. We would like also to welcome to Pak Udi Samanhudi as the head of International Office, and also Ibu Dina Rahmawati from International Office. Okay, let's continue to the profile of Dr. Ewayan Ekabudiarta. I take your profile from LinkedIn actually. His expertise is in teaching academic writing and business writing and also communication in English. He earned his doctoral degree in linguistics from Atmajaya University. His motto is empowering people to improve their language skills. I do really hope that my students also enjoy this research talk. I invite also my students to join this webinar. Without further ado, please welcome the Honorable Dr. Ewayan Ekabudiarta. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Siti. How long is my time to talk?
30 minutes, Pak Udi.
30 minutes?
40 and then question.
Okay,
yes,
good.
30,
okay,
40.
good. So I hope then later on, for example, if I go a little bit later, then probably then you can remind me. Very good. Now allow me to share my screen. Wait a minute. That everyone?
Yes, sir.
I hope that this title, well, Bu Siti said that this is a bit scary. Actually, it's not scary, Bu. This is fun.
Fun, yeah.
We can play lots of games with this. And for me, well, again, then the background why I'm interested to learn about vocabulary knowledge is because I'm teaching academic English. Yeah, so from 2010, I learned, I mean that my assignment is actually to help students actually. By the time I joined Sampoerna, from Sampoerna School of Business. So my role was preparing them because all of our classes conducted in English and they need to improve their academic vocabulary, sorry, academic skills, academic English in this case. So then they have to need to, well, I mean, read academic papers, books, and then later on they need to express that. They need to listen for something like a lecturer, which is mostly conducted in English and with some native speakers by the time. And of course, they need to write down their report in English. So that's a big, 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 big job. And we offer about 12 credits of academic English for the students by the time. And my interest of academic English later on continues when I met the late Bapak Denny Kwari. I'm sure that Bu Siti knows him very well also. We adore him a lot. He helped me, he inspired me a lot with this study, and also actually what I'm going to share today is actually the extension of what I did with my dissertation last time. Okay, good. So there are 2 points that we can see here. That's a vocabulary profile and lexical bundles. How many of you are familiar with these terms? Vocabulary profile, lexical bundle. Corpus, it sounds okay, probably challenging, but yes, we'll see then after that. Okay, so first of all, I want you to have looked on this small writing. Just see that in a glance. What do you think in related to fluency? Do you think this is, I just picked one from candidate of students that wants to enroll at Sampoerna, because again, then we are preparing students in order to pass enrollment tests, and we have what's so called by occupational tests, yeah, which is similar to, I don't know, similar to SAT probably, yeah, if they want to enroll the college. But one of them is actually they need to be able to write down essay, and which is similar to, they call that right placer. Well, probably in line with the writing in TOEFL as well as in writing in IELTS, because later on I will try to connect that with what we have in IELTS and also TOEFL. Okay, without further ado, I would like to go. I mean that here, well, for example, if you have looked on this, I try to take notes a little bit. What happens with this? Look, for example, if you pay attention, number one, start with it at first. It shows that what is it, what this refer to. So again, that this is about fluency. And then they use we, yeah, in the quote. And of course, this one, we experience failure. Well, again, then what if you feel that these types of writing sounds like they are writing what they are speaking. So spoken language move to written language. And that's something common, something which is, for example, we feel that a lot, we see that a lot in the writing of students EFL, in EFL context. Not only students, actually, lectures also, sometimes me also, yeah, because I use English as a foreign language, like many of you also. So this is a challenge then. Now, what can we do in order to improve this, in order to help us? We would like to have a look from vocabulary study. So vocabulary study is something which is, for example, we would like to see further here. And at least there are 3 different strands when we would like to have a look from vocabulary study. So in order to know vocabulary study, what are they? There are something what's related to lexical knowledge, and then related to the literacy, and related to meta-linguistic awareness. What are they? I hope that's not only that, not also to make you feel scared or confused with. before we go to the lexical knowledge, I would like to see what's so-called by vocabulary profile in general. And this kinds of study has already been started from mostly in 2000, yeah, by the time Paul Nation from University of Wellington in New Zealand. Also, Avril Coxheads that I use her, what do you call that, theory about academic vocabulary to conduct my research. Also something which is previously conducted like Lofer and Nation, 1995, and so on. They come up with several studies about this. And when we talked about vocabulary profile, I would like to introduce, there are at least 3 groups of vocabulary. What are they? Number 1, we call that like most common words. So 1,000, the first 1,000 most common words are, according to Nation, they identified it as a K1. Yeah. So K1, the most, what is that? So for example, like the word related to function words, of, the, a, and many things. And yeah. And say, for example, like the word table, chair, that we meet a lot in our daily. And the other one is actually the next 1,000 common words. So that's why Nation mentioned, in order to talk in English, especially in small talk, to say hi, to talk to our friends, to whoever that you meet, and then you want to start a chit chat, at least you need to know about the first 2,000 head words, and this one are considered as most frequently used words. Okay, so that's the first. But when it comes to writing, when it comes to reading, it's not enough to just knowing this first 2,000 head words. Yeah. The other one is what's so called by academic word list. And then Avril Coxheads identified that a little bit smaller. Before, it's like the one was identified as the University word list by Paul Nation, and then by Avril Coxheads identified it's about 570 head words later on for academic word list, according to her. Yeah, even though there are some debate, actually, what's so called by academic word list, is that only consists of the some certain corpus. But the research that conducted by Avril Coxheads was actually in the context of ESL and also EFL. So I mean, mostly like academic words needed or required for EFL or ESL or EFL. That's why I use her theory, her findings and list of vocabulary last time to identify what I did actually with my study. The other one, the compositions of academic word list, and this is academic word list has considered as part of less frequently used word. Yeah, so that's why it's a little bit challenging for some people to learn. And later on, I will show you there are some, that examples of academic word list. So then they have to pay attention on that. Yeah. So, and later on, many of you, if you are writing your paper, then you can also see whether what is the composition, what is the profile of your academic words. If, for example, less than 8%, say for example, 6%, 5%, we can consider that your paper is not academic enough yet, probably because you use more frequently used words. And that happens actually for students that we identify, for example, like before, the one before. However, if you write down, what about if you write down more than that? For example, like 15%. Yeah, that's another question then. 12, 13, 15. Probably your paper will be a little bit difficult to read because of using many less frequently used words, even though it sounds academic for some people. Okay, so this is the introductions first, and the last group we call that actually off-list words, which consists of, for example, proper name. For example, if you put Jakarta, New York, New Zealand, they consider as a proper names, even though and also human names, and some technical words. So these technical words, for example, if you are students of linguistics, of course, then you know some words which is related to what scaffolding, and then what parts of actually that people use that in the teaching language in this case. But technical words, again, that's about 8% until 10%, and consider as less frequently used words. So what I mean by the three groups is actually the first one and the second is, this is the first the first 2000 head words, which is related to frequently used words, and then academic words and off-list words, which is considered as a proper names and technical words. Okay, so what I did with my study, actually, I use this, what you call that, the theory actually, to analyze my students' writing by the time, my students' academic paper. That's what I did actually when I conducted my dissertation. I want to know how is their vocabulary profile, how is the vocabulary profile of EFL learners. Yeah, especially this one, I try to compare that with these three groups. The first one is, by the time, is intake 2014, 2015, 2016. Why I did three groups by the time? Because I want to know, well, because the assumption is the higher their cohorts, the higher their level, they're supposed to know better vocabulary knowledge, better academic words in this case then, yeah. So that's the assumptions, but I tried to use the later on to see the correlation, whether having, well, I mean, the higher their level, they have better vocabulary profile, and it proves yes, but that's for the higher level, 2014, the higher cohorts. In this case, yes, they had a better academic vocabulary in compared to the previous one, but the things is actually between 2015 and 2016, they are closely, the difference is not significant by the time then, yeah. So well, the idea is actually, indeed, this is what I also mentioned, that learning vocabulary is incremental in nature. They said that, yeah, it takes time, butuh waktu. It's not only something which is gonna be happen one time. Now, analyzing this vocabulary profile also, for me, by the time I conducted my study both with using mixed method, yeah, so quantitative by seeing the correlation, and also qualitative. Qualitative, what I did is actually I I check using raters actually, how the students use their academic vocabulary in the writing. However, it takes like time, yeah, and there's no parameters. And now, this is actually triggering me to develop the study. We learn what's so-called by lexical bundles, and then we would like to identify that through lexical bundles. But before we go to the lexical bundles, how did I identify or investigate this vocabulary profile? What I use is this one. I don't know whether Bu Siti also have used this one also. So this is from Lex Tutor. I learned that from Pak Denny, definitely. You can ask. So we use this one, and then actually we can, I started using the vocab profile here. There are lots of features available. So this actually written or designed by Tom Cobb, but this is under or from the idea from Paul Nations and also Huang by the time. Yeah, so the idea for that. Okay, so what can we do here? I mean that with this actually later on, we would like to see the results. But before we go to see the results, actually, we want to know what does it mean by knowing a word. So lexical knowledge. Later on, this is gonna be something that could be, for example, like interesting to know. Because when you say that I know certain words, so does not mean that you know the meaning of the word, right? It's not enough to know the meaning, but you need to know also the form, how to write that down. And also word parts. Yeah. So for example, and what is more important actually, the usage of the words. R and P are related to, R is the receptive skill, so something that probably you hear, you listen, you watch, parts of the receptive skills. And P is the productive skill, something that you produce. Again, this is from Paul Nation. I followed his theory a lot. And later on, I will tell you also his theory about language learning. I mean that in terms of vocabulary also. Yeah, it's all not far away from the four strands of language learning that he used. So, okay, that's the things then. Yeah, so lexical knowledge includes knowledge or information skills of knowing the words meaning, knowing the form, yeah, and also knowing the usage. Now, the second strand that I mentioned beside lexical knowledge is literacy. So after studying about vocabulary, it seems that indeed it's not enough to just write something like the examples I showed you before then, yeah. So it's not only registers, of course, then mastery of less frequently used word is very important. That's why we need to introduce that. It could be in a single words, like what I said before, in academic vocabulary, yeah, or in technical vocabulary. But recently, because I think that the usage of this academic vocabulary is not very clear in terms of the context. That's why lexical bundle later on provide us more better opportunity for that. So mastery of medium low frequency, especially from vocabulary derived from Greek or Latin origin, is indicated as, well, I mean, help the students with their academic success. And then also that's also related to ability to access and use, once again, related to knowledge of vocabulary or lexical, uh, able to access and use higher lexical register, and also what? To change the lexical gears and shift. Now, this is what I just mentioned before, from something informal to more what? Register, accepted, especially when they need to write down in academic paper. So that's the focus on that. So that's illiteracy. And then the last one related to the meta-linguistic awareness. Of course, yeah, as we are learners of language, of course, then people will consider, I mean, that the researchers, many researchers identified that native speakers, they have little experience of meta-linguistic analysis instead of non-native speakers. I proved that already. In 2000, I got an experience, my first professional job. I taught English at EF English First in Bali by the time, and I met some native speakers. They cannot even explain to be, how to use to be. And he asked me, Eka, can you help me to explain this? I can use that, but I don't know how to explain that. Yeah, that's the things. And yeah, this is really interesting. And for us, is actually, we remember a lot about the pattern and so on and so on. But the things is actually what I would like to say here, meta-linguistic awareness is something significant for EFL students. That's why knowing what you call that, like types of vocabulary, and then later on use that, would be very important, as we are the learners of the vocabulary. Okay, so what I did actually, what I would like to share actually, a short, this is a short research actually, because last time, as I told you, my source of data were from my students writing, and this time I tried to get that from IELTS blog. I'm sure that you access this already. From IELTS blog, actually, we can see examples of, for example, what kinds of writing band that you want. Yeah, so from, I think, from 4 until 9 even, but I think 8 is kinds of like ideal for candidates of students. For example, if they want to pursue their study not only in this country, abroad, I think later on, if they got 8, probably that would be good, because writing, this is writing, yeah. If they got, for example, speaking 7 or something, then still very good, yeah. Because the minimum, I think 6.5 until 7, probably the requirement in order to be able to pursue your study here. So, okay, so this is my data. And then what I use actually, later on, I will show you the, well, I mean, the raw data of this. And I put all this data, I mean, I collect, there are 63 paper from, I limit that from band 8 of task 2. I'm sure that if you have an opportunity to take IELTS test, task 2 is about argumentative essay, and that's quite challenging usually for some students. So I compile them together and then put that in the vocab profile, and I found that like this then, yeah. So still, majority of the writing, majority of the vocabulary used in K1 is 77, and then K2 6.7. So this is about 80% of the total. And if you can see that AWL is 6.3%, while off-list word is 6.4%. This is very ideal. So again, this shows, I mean, that even though you are taking, for example, a time test essay, IELTS writing test, especially the second task 2 is actually, you need to write down 250 word essay in about 40 minutes, if I'm not 40, yes, 40 minutes. Yeah, I think you have to accomplish that in 40 minutes. How could you write that down, an academic paper, which is considered good, until in 40 minutes? And we can analyze, indeed, actually, they got 8, band 8, of course, because, yeah, from the profile, yeah, actually it fulfilled the requirements already. Not too many, I mean, that not too more than 10%, so it's going to be hard to read. Not less than 8% for academic words, and also off-list words. So this is something which is, off-list words is a bit lower, of course, then. This is because then time essay, probably they don't have enough time to think about some technical words. So they just use, well, I mean, that more to academic words, but less to the technical words. Okay, good. This is the, well, I mean, that the results actually, that the detailed results, what I expressed before. So if you can see here, after entering your raw data to the vocab profile, we can see here, this is the data from 77%, and then 6.75%, and 9.31%. And if you look at here, then, for example, the total tokens, I mean, that the total words being used in the whole writing, later on I use that as a corpus. We call that as a corpus, because what is corpus is the compilation of the data. So all of them consist of 15,026 tokens. Tokens in this case means like words that is being used. For example, even though if you use the word twice, 3 times, it's considered as a different tokens. There's tokens somehow, types. Yeah, there's also lemma, something that people need to be aware of in terms of that. But tokens is mostly like the occurrence of the words. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit. And then now let's move to lexical bundles. Yeah, so after working with the academic, vocabulary profile, identify in general the profile. Now we want to see actually how in real, how does the students actually, the test taker, examinee actually apply that in the writing. So we would like to use that in what's so-called lexical bundles. What is lexical bundles? This is something that we need to have looked at that. Here we can see some definitions from the Cook, Granger, yeah, who said that multi-word expressions, yeah, it is believed to be, well, I mean, source of difficulty. This is what I said before then, yeah. So in fact, in terms of writing, many students, they do not aware this will influence their fluency, because of they find difficulties in producing multi-words expressions. Yeah, part of source of difficulty. And it is necessary actually, that's why I mean that to adjust ourselves to shift a little bit our paradigm from writing spoken language to write what's so-called by indeed academic or written language. And this awareness should be, well, I mean that happen again and again. And again, through this, actually, there's what's so-called by formulaic language, yeah, which is considered or identified as a sequence of words, yeah. What is stored, I mean, that what we remember. That's why non-native speakers are considered to be able to aware and also remember, yeah, these types of words in compared to native speakers, yeah. Sequence of words stored and retrieve that and then use that actually being subject to generate, for example, their ability to analysis in terms of the use of grammar. Now, lexical bundle further is identified as what? Recurring, yeah, happening, recurring sequence, but started from 3 or more words. Yeah, so if someone can use certain words, for example, not only as one person, but that happens to other students then or to other, for example, examinee, then they will consider as the lexical bundle. And they commonly go together in natural discourse. I mean that when they write that down, it's something which is natural. Yeah. For example, looking forward to, and followed by verb ing. Yeah. So one sets of that, for example. The other way, the other definition, especially Highland here, who also challenge the what the notions of vocabulary, academic vocabulary before belong to Coxheads, said that lexical bundles help the language learners to shape meanings in specific contexts. Yeah, because again, then by using lexical bundles, actually, it's not only coherence, then we can understand also, we can express our thought in the target language more appropriately. And Highland also mentioned later on, there will be kinds of like a divisions, there's a cut off or a group of actually how many words are there, what are the what you call that, the considerations of what's so called by lexical bundle we can see here. Now again, from this is I mentioned as a corpus. Why is it corpus? Yeah, because this is a collection, yeah, collections of the words. In reality, if you probably heard already before, I like to use what's so called by COCA, Corpus of Contemporary American. That's actually consists of lots of genre, could be like speaking, writing, and so on, but mostly used by American people. And then sometimes I refer to BNC, British National Corpus, and mostly from Lancaster. That's for British people. But this one is, I try to collect my own data and make it as a corpus. That's possible. Yeah. Many research in lexical bundle before they use what you call that, for example, journals. And after this, I show you one current research. Actually, they try to compile journals and then see what lexical bundles being used in these journals. Now, this is what I use actually. Band 8 IELTS writing from IELTS blog. I compiled it. There are 63 essays altogether. And when I use LexTutor to identify vocabulary profiler in LexTutor to identify the vocabulary profile. Now I use Sketch Engine. This one is not free, honestly, but you need to pay. It's about £8 sterling, 7.99 pounds sterling. Sorry, euro, not pound sterling. Yeah, euro. So it's about 120 something. Yeah, rupees. 1,000 rupees, yeah, in Indonesia. So if you want to use, probably I think university probably have that already, so then you can use that. This is the previous study that I used for. This is a study, this is recent study from Nasabra Badi. Sirvan and Golparva, they come up with these kinds of corpus, yeah, using journals in applied linguistics. So there's a TESOL quarterly, modern language journal, system studies. This is a very big corpus, yeah, because consists of 16 million word corpus. Yeah, the data is a lot. Yeah, and then the things is actually what with the study, with my study, actually, I come up with a very shorter corpus. Probably this could be like it could be considered as a preliminary study, or we can say that as the pilot study, because ideally, if we can well collect all the bands, yeah, not only band 8, but also from band 4, 5, 6, 7, also until 9, then we can see the difference then, yeah. So this is well, I mean, the compositions of my study, and then uh, from this corpus, actually, I can see actually there are 51 lexical bundles appear. So after using the sketch engine, I could get 51 lexical bundles appears on that with 369 occurrence or frequency. And look, the lexical bundles only 2.4%. Actually, it's very small in compared to the whole tokens. The whole tokens is about the 3,000 words something before then, right? So this is the appearance. Now, if you once use, for example, sketch, later on probably I can show you the sketch. So this is the results, and you can see this is what's so called by lexical bundle, like a group 3, at least start from 3 words. I believe that, in my opinion, on the other hand. So these kinds of expressions need to be introduced, that the students, for example, when they write down academic paper or academic writing, they need to know this, they need to aware that, yeah. So then they can apply that. It's not only, well, I mean, that moving something that they use from their first language, spoken language mostly, and then they write that down, but the writing will be lots better if they can apply this one. So in total, there are 51 lexical bundles, yeah, as I told you before, and this is the distributions. And then we would like to know further. Now, in my study, I want to identify these lexical bundles into two groups. The first one is in terms of the structural. Structural means that how many words, and then the second one in terms of the function, structural and function. This is exactly the usage of the what do you call that, the lexical words actually later on. Now, in terms of the structural analysis, if you can see here, then look, majority of the words which is related to the verb phrase structure, verb phrase, be able to, is true that, strongly believe that, are 3-word lexical bundle. My question is 4, 5, 6 empty. Why? Later on, we'll discuss that. Okay, and then in terms of dependent clause, in terms of dependent clause, oh, we can found some actually in 4 words, but majority still in the 3-word lexical bundle. I believe that, I strongly believe, people argue that, this essay will. So this is appears in IELTS writing, yeah. Then in terms of noun phrase, so if you can see here, then majority of the noun phrase also in 3 words lexical bundle, less in, not even in 4, 5, 6 from the corpus that I have. Okay, and then in terms of prepositional phrase, yeah, there are some, or majority still in the 3-word lexical bundle, and there are some in the 4-word lexical bundle. Oh, before go there, then I probably I just remember to know that why is it lexical bundle? What makes it as like a lexical bundle? Actually, there are two category why that becomes or considered as a lexical bundle. Number one is we call that as frequency. I means that, in my opinion, appears few times in the corpus. So then we can later on the machine will identify that as the lexical bundle, or we can, well, I mean that identify that as a lexical bundle. Frequency. The third one, the second one is actually we call that range. So for example, like we can predict, for example, in 1 or in 10,000 words, every 10,000 words, these types of expression should appear about 10%. Now, according to Highland, he said that's about 10%. Well, this is still a controversy because, or debate, because other researchers said, oh, it's not 10%, it's about 40%, it's about 30%. Yeah, depends on the corpus that they use in this case. Okay, I will continue. This one is actually in terms of adjectival phrases. Yeah, we can see I just got one from my corpus, yeah, from the list, more likely to. Yeah, and then in terms of adverb and adjective, because they are, other is not available. And then in terms of be, adjective or adverb plus to, yeah, be able to, are more likely to, only these groups actually, but not in, this is surprisingly, sorry, in conjunction. With the conjunctions in the corpus, I couldn't find that. That's not available in my corpus. But with the infinitive, we can see to begin with, to have a, to the development, to sum up, and so on. Yeah, we can see that from, again, mostly in the 3-word lexical bundle. That's the first one in terms of structure. So structure, that's mostly related to verb phrase, noun phrase, adjective phrase, and so on. Now I'll continue. Okay, still the time then, yeah, with the functional analysis. Now, in terms of the functional analysis, what are the functional? Function in this case is actually, there are some considerations when we talked about functions. Yeah, so function itself, it could be like, for example, lexical bundle used in research-oriented lexical bundles. Yeah, some researchers, for example, at the beginning of, if you are writing a research, for example, or in the use of the wide range of, and so on. Now, however, from my corpus, the corpus that I had also, there are some expressions also being used, especially for in terms of the research-oriented lexical bundle, which means that these expressions also appears in not only writing, what you call it, in essay writing for IELTS test, but also in academic journals. Yeah, because that's a research oriented. So in the learning, in the development of, in the learning process, the number of, the development of ways of life, yeah, to the development of, and so on. So 3-word and 4-word somehow available from the corpus. Now that's research oriented. Now in terms of text oriented is what is concerned with the organizations of the text and its meaning, yeah, as the message of an argument. So that's why from mostly from the writing, for example, then we can see that what does it, what this person actually wants to say, what wants to write from the writing, then we can identify that. And what are that? Here we can see then transition signals. We can see then 3-word, 4-word, on the other, and on the other hand. This is also interesting, yeah, because they mentions on the other hand. But when you clicked on that later on, when you see in the sketch, actually it's the same word. But why they appear twice? Yeah, and then resultive signals as a result, structuring signals, yeah, on the one hand, this one is actually the same. But the thing is, why they appear twice? Again, then, because once again, the essence of lexical bundles, number one, if the word considered of 3-word at least, and that happened again, so there's a frequency in this case, then they will be calculated as lexical bundle. Now, if they have more than that, they will still calculate it later. Okay. That's the one in terms of the functional analysis in terms of the lexical bundle, text oriented. Yeah. And this is the next one in terms of the participation or participant oriented. Actually, this focus on the writers, yeah, focus on the writers or the readers of the text, and include, for example, stand features in which the carry the writer stance positions. In this case, whether they are following certain propositions, yeah, the fact that are more likely to. It is true. So this is a kind of what. When we write down argumentative essay, it should be something like a negation, something like that's a point in order to influence the readers, right? You see remember, if you aware of the difference between argumentative essay in compared to other types of essay, the objective of argumentative essay is to influence people, to make people follow your idea and agree with you, persuade. And then parts of them is actually you need to identify that from the expressions. Call of action, usually at the end of the during the concluding paragraph, then you can find that. Okay, good. The other one, there are some frequent bundles also refer to contrast in the corpus. For example, this is used being in the contrast. On the other hand, should not be, cannot be. And look, this is something interesting. How do you spell cannot? Should be connected or not? Yeah, mostly people will write that connected, but why the one which is not connected also being identified? So this is something that actually many writers, again, then the writers are mostly are ESL students or EFL students, that they do not realize these kinds of words also, yeah, on the other hand. Now, this one also, in terms of frequent bundles, that refers to highlighting the first person. Look, in my opinion, or in, even though with capital I and with the small I, can you see that that's also considered as a lexical bundle? I believe that, or strongly believe that. When the examinee, I mean the students write down an argumentative essay, especially for IELTS, task 2, argumentative essay, it seems they are allowed to use I or the first person. This one actually, these features is not available when you try to analyze lexical bundle from journal articles, because in journal articles, the first person singular in this case usually do not being used. So this is only being used in the, for example, academic, but kinds of like a time essay they really want to express, and mostly in IELTS, TOEFL, well, you are allowed. At the moment, for example, when I'm teaching composition class, which is connected to one institution in the United States, they are allowed to use I, as they are also writing the basic argumentative essay. But when it comes to later on undergraduate thesis or capstone project, then of course the point of view will be different. Then yeah, so they will not recommend it to do that. Some frequent lexical bundles, they say the cost of something, only one. I can found that from here, and I think this is the last lexical bundle based on the function analysis. Now, what can we conclude from that? So, this one, number one, IELTS essay writing band 8. First of all, this one fulfilled the lexical proportions of academic writing. What is that? Number one, the compositions for example, frequently used words, about 80% maximum, and then academic word list, for example, it's about 8 until 10% maximum, unless the technical words, because again, then they don't have enough time to have looked on, for example, some references in order to adapt that on the time essay, on the 40 minutes, then they are not what you call that achieve the, well, I mean the best one, but that's not become an issue. But the main issue for that kinds of writing is mostly that actually the frequently used word and academic vocabulary. Because again, when we talked about off list, that could be parts of the proper names, yeah, not necessarily technical words. The second one, in the time essay test, yeah, the examinees were not able to construct longer lexical bundles than 3-hour words. That's become the reasons why 4 and 5, well, 4 there are some, 5 and 6 length of lexical bundle are not or couldn't being produced by those students because they have to accomplish their writing in a short time. If, for example, they have more time, it's for example, at the moment when you are attending composition class, for example, and you go through the process from outlining, drafting, and then peer editing, revising, of course, then you can think of some, for example, terms or expressions, which could be, for example, more than 3 or 4 words of lexical bundles. Okay, and then regarding to the structure characteristics, now the number 1, there's a numbers of lexical bundles were closely related, as I said before. On the other hand, actually that's actually one group, but they are being identified as what you call that different lexical bundle. And the last one, meanwhile, in terms of the functional characteristic, different corpus shows different result. As I said before, my corpus based on, this is an academic writing, but students writing on the IELTS test. And then the results also, there's new functional characteristic that I can see here and not available in another study of lexical bundle in terms of the function, highlighting first person point of view. Like, I believe that, in my opinion, I strongly believe that, and so on. Okay, so far that's all what I can share, Bu Siti.
Oh, this is really interesting topic actually, and what is it? I get so many new things, especially about the program Sketch Engine, the program how to gather the data and to be a corpus data of the research, and especially for my students, this will be very beneficial because my students, I invite my research. My research class student, the student who is doing research, doing their thesis.
I can show you a little bit later on about how to use those
Yes.
lexical profile as well as sketch engine.
Yes,
and what kinds of information.
Yes, I was about to ask about how to use the sketch engine, so that we can practice it after the webinar.
Yeah.
Probably we can ask also to run a workshop, Audi, special workshop for our students to do
I
this
agree with
kind
you.
of.
Yeah.
Yes, it comes in my mind. Why don't Paudi invite him again to do the workshop?
Why not?
For the lecturer, so that we we get used to using this kind of corpus engine.
That's very interesting.
Yes. Let me try to conclude a little bit so that the audience will come to the same perception about these lexical bundles. As you mentioned before, lexical bundles help to shape meaning in context and contribute to our sense of coherence in a text. Nah, ini yang sering kali ditemukan dalam tulisan mahasiswa di skripsi kadang-kadang paragraf 1 terus ke paragraf 2-nya tuh jomplang ya, kalau bahasa Indonesianya loncat. Nah itu apakah they will get used to it kalau sudah terbiasa, bahwa tadi saya melihat ya, you really extract it into functional analysis, text oriented, participant oriented, and frequent bundles, and also highlighting the first point of view and cause of something. Those 6 things are very important for us as an academic writer. Jadi kita bisa analyze pilihan yang mana, on the other hand, as a result, and so on. Ini saya masih sering mengajarkan juga ke mahasiswa saya. Mungkin semua juga ya dosen-dosen.
Kami juga, maybe all too.
Membimbing, ya, membimbing mahasiswa. Nah di sini I do ask, I try to ask the students to ask questions. Yeah, today, this moment will be a question and answer session. Please ask some questions to the presenter today. Pak Ekabudiarta will answer the questions. You may raise your hand or write down your question on the chat box. Silakan boleh bertanya. This is very good opportunity for you. Nah, ini Indonesia banget kalau udah mau sesi bertanya langsung speak.
Kayaknya pada bingung ya. I think most of the participants
Karena dari
a little bit lost.
Vocabulary profile, lexical bundles, belum terlalu familiar.
Vocabulary profile itu artinya memberikan gambaran. Sebetulnya tulisan kita itu seperti apa sih? Is that to what extent that considered, for example, because we are writing for academic paper, ya kan?
Right.
Academic enough nggak sih your writing? So then you can check that actually from here.
Right.
So according to the suggestions, for example, general words-nya or frequently used words-nya about 70 to 80% that umum. Kalau lebih dari itu berarti your writing is not really academic.
Not, all right.
Yeah.
If is it about 8%, the one is actually less frequently used word that's related to the academic vocabulary, kosakata akademiknya. Kalau muncul antara 8 sampai dengan 10%, at least dari segi hitungan, ya, this is something which is descriptive. Okay, you can mention that. Tapi kan nanti pertanyaannya whether you can use that appropriately or not. Nah, itu yang menjadi kemarin memang pertanyaan di kebetulan disertasi saya juga. Kalau sudah disampaikan seperti ini, terus bagaimana? Can they use that? By the time I did different way to analyze that, but this time we use lexical bundles. Jadi lexical bundles itu memberikan kita gambaran, oh ini yang banyak dipakai. Then what about our students, for example? Kalau misalnya kalian punya tulisan dikumpulkan menjadikan korpus, itu bisa dianalisa juga. Apakah misalkan seperti tadi, certain terms yang sering muncul ini, apakah appropriate or not, is considered okay or not, then we can identify that from the lexical bundle-nya itu. Jadi lexical bundle bisa diterima, bisa dipertanyakan, bisa juga dikategorisasikan seperti itu. Nah, band 8 atau kalau misalnya later on when if we can do that band 9 for example, tapi kan yang dituju 9 itu it's a bit difficult ya. 8 itu oke lah, a bit achievable. Achievable for many of us. Nah, itu menjadi gambaran oh orang-orang yang dapat band 8 ini what do they do? What lexical bundle, what lexical chunk, sometimes they said that ya, like what lexical chunks do they use frequently? Nah, kita kan tinggal perhatikan. Take notes. Okay, this is related a little bit, Bu Siti. I remember for the 4th strand of language learning dari Paul Nation, saya ingat. In order to learn a language, there are 4 strands, 4 step. As I said before, there's a receptive, ya tadi kan. In this case, we can say that as a meaningful input competence. Jadi sesuatu yang kita dengar, sesuatu yang kita lihat, sesuatu yang kita baca, sesuatu yang kita tonton, meaningful. Oh ya, ini menarik nih. Oh, saya catat deh. And then, harapannya apa? What is the expectation? You can produce that. You can use that in writing. You can use that in speaking. Productive skill. Meaningful output competence. What happens in the middle? The other two. This is what we call the second one, deliberate learning. Deliberate learning itu proses di mana kita aware of what we are doing. So something like identifying lexical bundle seperti oh ada for example then you can use what you might want to or what else then any kinds of examples that you can use here yeah. So then you can identify this lexical bundle as the point. This is what we call deliberate learning. Yang disadari spellingnya, remember knowing a words, not only knowing the meaning but knowing the form and also the usage. Setelah aware, What is the third one? This is what we call fluency development. There's nothing new here. Tidak ada yang baru. We just repeat what we understand, what we are thinking. Oh, this is good. What we learn already, and use that again and again until become something autonomous, automatic. Moving from procedural to declarative, katanya seperti itu. So become something autonomous. So then your production will be good. Itu, I really like this theory from Paul Nation. Tetapi again, awareness of learning academic vocabulary, learning lexical bundle terms yang biasa dipakai, that's the one that we need to do. Ini menarik. Menurut saya begitu Bu Siti.
Yes, it's really interesting. Wow. Okay, question and answer. Audience participants.
Yeah, Bu Aisah, I think it's interesting to also dig more the meta-linguistic awareness.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
yeah.
I proved that, Pak Udi, when I went to Japan and learned Japanese. This is what I did. And Japanese, you know, I went to Japan with a big zero of Japanese. Saya tidak belajar bahasa Jepang dulu. Pertama kali datang cuma bisanya hai, diketawain sama orang. Tapi I proved that knowledge of learning one foreign language, which is English, helped me a lot to understand Japanese. Mereka kan verbnya di belakang. For example, dari kan Nihongo hanasemasu ka? Kyou wa hiru gohan o tabemashita. For example, dia bilang begitu. Jadi tabemashita itu di belakang, makan. Kok bisa verbnya di belakang? Tapi our meta-linguistic awareness helped us to understand that, oh, in order to construct a sentence, definitely you need to have what's so-called by subject and verb, whether the positions is different, but we can identify that from, for example, the endings. Yeah. And these kinds of pattern actually appears parts of what groups of word, or what we call that lexical chunk. Begitu.
Yeah. Like in English, if we just listen, sit down, sit, they understand, even though they do not express it in a complete sentences, right?
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
The meta-linguistic awareness is concerned with type of vocabulary and how we use the language in context, right?
Exactly. That's correct. Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of our students who might be interested in meta-linguistic awareness. Yeah. Is there any suggestion for the focus of research in dealing with meta-linguistic awareness, Pak Eka? So our student can think of it, and then maybe in the future they will, do research around this area of meta-linguistic awareness.
Meta-linguistic awareness is not so far away from syntax, actually. I mean that how can you identify certain words? Nah, baru saja I actually help candidates of students once again. Then in order to enroll to our university, they have to pass what they call college ready. They have to pass aku pleasure test, kan? But again, to write down sentences, they don't know how to differentiate between simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound complex sentence, and how to make that, to write that down. Number one, just to identify, and then to write that down. Meta-linguistic awareness will let us know which one what's so-called by, for example, run-on sentence or incomplete sentence. By identifying that. Cukup di situ. I think for undergraduate students, yeah, if you want to go further with this meta-linguistic awareness, then you can identify, okay, this sentence is a complete thought, or this sentence is what we call that, not well constructed in this case, yeah, because of the composition, the construction does not, for example, consist subject, or as I said before, then only dependent clause, yeah, without independent clause in this case, yeah. So mostly writing appears like that. Kalau suka, then you can identify, and that should be something that you can identify. Wherever you go, whatever you do in terms of learning a new language, these types of languages will appear. And the higher your level in speaking English, of course, then you should be able to construct more complex and compound sentences. Begitu.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I will need to read
I'm
more
really
about this.
interested
Yeah.
when Pak Wayan also
Yeah.
opening what is it, the research lecture today by quoting that I wrote it down actually.
Ika handain Ibu Ika.
Oh.
Ika, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Bu Ika.
Bu Ika, why not open your microphone and ask directly, Bu Ika?
Yeah, it's nice to
directly,
know you,
Bu Ika.
So, okay, using corpus-based, yeah. Okay,
Excuse
so
me.
you want to see how to use COCA and BNC. What
Yeah.
information can you get from COCA and BNC? I can show you a little bit if you want. I have prepared that. Wait a minute.
This is Bu Ika.
Boleh ya, Bu Ika ya?
Yeah.
So,
Perhaps the finding of your research found the spatial dominant lexical bundles in academic writing using corpus-based study. Perhaps using tool like
yeah, I know. Yeah, BNC and COCA, I use that a lot also, and then I can open that for you. Now, the things is like this: when you use COCA or BNC, so COCA it's American, BNC is British. For example, what can we use from that? I can show you what again then. Yeah, wait a minute. This one that we can see later on, for example, if we can go to this writing, look at my results of this one. Look, for example, the most frequently used lexical bundle is I believe that. The frequency is 20 times. So, for example, if you want to go there, then you can go to COCA. So this is COCA, so Corpus of Contemporary American English. You have to, this is free. You can just sign in. And then what you have to do, for example, then you can see what is the situation. What information can you get from COCA? So you can type down the word before I believe that, for example, then yeah. So I believe that. Nah. Or at least, see, I believe that appears about 1,000 or 16,579 hits atau frekuensi. Jadi sering sekali dipakai. What else? What else the informations that we can get selain hits ini? Then we can go here then, yeah. So come back to the chart. This is the second informations that you can go here. So artinya genre-nya apa in context? Look at this then. From the chart, then you can see that the word I believe that is being used in spoken instead of, for example, TV or magazines, in the websites, in the blog, but spoken, they use that a lot. Menarik sekali, I made a research also a little bit about marriage, menikah. And what is interesting, in COCA, the word marriage does not appear a lot in spoken, mostly in blog, web, and TV. In written, in magazine. Kenapa seperti itu? Why is that like this? It seems like people don't really want to talk a lot about marriage. They just want to go with that. So lots of interpretations that we can do, that we can see from the frequency of why the words is not being used in a certain genre. Yeah, so including fiction, magazines, news, and academic. Even in academic, yeah, the word I believe that, because again, and this is spoken language, so that's why we do not use I believe that a lot in academic paper, misalkan, karena yeah, that's a little bit spoken. So I could say that writing essay in IELTS band, it could be like in between a little bit academic, but not too much academic, but that's a little bit something which is related to some what they use in spoken. Artinya because with the limited of time, they can produce what they think, and then they want to express their thought. Well, I mean strongly by saying that I believe that. What is interesting also, the word I believe that is being used a lot in 1990 1990, long time ago, and decreasing. Jadi sedikit berkurang. So 2015 until 2019, people do not use that a lot. Like we can see that on from the exercise. This is the data that we can see from here, but not too much. Yeah, the decrease is not too much. So that's the first. And then what else that we can learn from that? We can use, we can see from keyword in context, for example, then, yeah. What is the context of I believe that itu? Where can we use that? KWIC is actually keyword in context. It takes time to, because this is free, then they try to get the data a little bit on that. Wait a minute. Yeah, so then you can click, and then we can see what context, what situations, and then we can see what types of words come before and after I believe that. Sorry, it takes some time for them to identify. See. See, so I believe that it will goes like this. So we can see and we can understand actually what types of word. This is color coding, telling us what types of word is that. Yeah. So for example, like content, explicit, important, certain, significant, chairman, conservatism, and so on. Yeah. So what comes and go after. So mostly then we can see another expressions that we can see from keyword in context. So at least that one from BNC, this is another one. Then I believe that this is also free, but you have to sign up actually. Yeah, I believe that, for example, when we start query, what kinds of informations we can get from BNC. So this is a kinds of reference besides checking the meaning from dictionary, and we can also learn some informations from corpus. And what kinds of informations can we go? We can go through query and then see the distributions, yeah, and then go. Now look at this. There are some informations. I believe that use more in, this is interesting. Why is in British? I believe that they use that more in written instead of in spoken in compared to Koka. Then you can see the context also. Yeah, so that's the informations that you can see also. This is the genre, yeah, mostly used in spoken. Published written. This is British, yeah, published written, but a little bit less in spoken. That's interesting, which is contradictive between British and American. What else that we can see also here? Now, what types of people use I believed that a lot? Mostly like from 35 until 44 years old, which is like mostly like working people. And in compared to male and female, you can see also that male use this word more than female in British context. So what does it mean? Then you can see also, if you clicked on this, you can see the context in what situation does male using I believe that instead of female, for example. So that kinds of informations you can get here by using BNC. So at least from the the most frequent words. Yeah, if you want to analyze the whole lexical bundle, possible, but takes time.
Maybe next time.
Okay, Ibu.
Okay, thank you, Pak.
Thank you
Wayan
so
Eka.
much, Pak Eka, Pak Wayan.
Nih, ada
Call me
suaranya.
Pak Eka then.
Okay, thank you, Pak Eka.
I think Bu Ika has more questions. Bu Ika.
Ika dan Eka. Wah, that's
Ika,
very close.
Eka, ya, close.
Ini namanya apa? Minimal pairs?
Minimal pairs.
Minimal pairs, Ika and Eka.
Itu semester 1 ya, S1 belajar minimal pairs.
Pak Eka, I also did this kind of corpus-based study. Yeah.
Oh, you
but,
did? Wow.
Yes, I tried to find the synonymous words, especially to find similarity and also differences about say, tell, like that. but I just use BNC and e-web. Yeah. So I do
try
not
to use itu Bu, apa this one sketch engine. Sketch engine,
sudah.
I think yes.
Yeah, sketch engine nanti yang
give you
gambar.
the thesaurus and so on,
Yes,
lots over there.
Yeah. I also did that one.
Okay.
But I just want I want to know about the dominant lexical bundles. Perhaps two or one or two lexical bundles in academic papers that you have ever got, Pak Eka.
You are talking about academic papers, ya Bu, ya?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of academic papers, I will rely on my the sources that I use. This is the recent informations that I got. So what are the lexical bundles being used over there? Nah, I can show you the examples of them because the corpus is different. Yeah. So the corpus they have is actually, as I said before, from what group of paper, group of what do you call that, words, which is, sorry, groups of journals in this case. Let me share you once again. Then this is the research about academic paper. Okay. Can you see my screen, Bu?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the most frequent lexical bundles incorporate the verb phrase, but this is for, once again, this is from the research which is related to academic, applied linguistic corpus from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total 5, from 2009 until 2018, which is consists of 1,738 articles. Yeah, so that's the one they got. And well, I haven't done this one because many people like Pak Denny Kwari also conducted research in lexical bundles, and he relied also on the corpus, journals article. Yeah, his study I can show you later on. But this kinds of vocabulary being used even for 6-word lexical bundle is being. I can share this article later on to you, Bu, if you want.
Thank you very much.
Because that's really interesting.
Yes.
That's why I mean for a time essay which is short, they probably cannot really produce a 5 or 6 word. And besides that, they are only candidates of students. They are not students yet, but they are taking tests and then they prepare themselves. But with that kinds of effort, at least they already passed, for example, Band 8, which is ready for them to pursue their study abroad. Yeah, so that's the context. That's the difference in terms of the corpus. I hope that's answering, Ibu.
Thank you very much, Pak Eka.
Yes,
it's really
you're
interesting sharing. Thank you.
Thank
Siti
you.
Aisah, terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Bu Ika, for your question and input also about your experience. Learning by experience is very important. That's the clue that you the clue that you mentioned in the first of your speech today. I do note it down that gaining knowledge from experience, like you give the example how to use the sketch engine, how to use the Koka, and so on. Okay.
Ya, jadi bisa tahu ya Bu Ais.
Ya, betul.
Apa itu bedanya bunda, mama, ibu gitu kan, emak.
Ya,
gitu.
Dan bisa Bu, bahasa Indonesia di sketch engine itu bahasa Indonesia bisa di ini.
Ada ya Pak ya, di bahasa
keren,
Indonesia
Bu.
juga.
Ya.
Kalau ngotak-ngatik jadinya seru ya Pak ya.
Seru banget, seru. Dan itu yang dikenalkan, artinya kenapa pilihannya bunda, kenapa pilihannya mama.
Betul.
Apa we can learn a lot from that, dan ya. Jadi pilihan kata dan juga nuansanya apa, konteksnya apa. Kalau dikaitkan dengan agama juga kadang ada yang abi, ada yang umi. Well, that's very good for me. Ya, menarik.
Bisa jadi inspirasi.
Kemarin itu Pak, Pak Eka, kemarin saya mencoba nih kan, karena mahasiswa itu ada yang menggunakan, talking about academic paper ya Pak Eka. Mahasiswa itu ada tujuan penelitiannya itu kan ada yang to find out ya, to describe, to know gitu. Nah itu saya coba buka, hanya saja kalau di BNC, Koka dan e-web itu kan tidak bisa Kalau dua find out itu dia jadi harus 2 kali gitu kerjanya. Kalau cuma 1 dia bisa langsung gitu. Nah itu saya belum
kata
ketemu
find
caranya.
misalkan begitu ya.
Betul Pak, saya belum tahu itu cara menguliknya gitu.
Nah begitu Bu. Jadi again dan identification di lexical bundle itu kan karena apa? Kenapa bisa dimasuk dalam kategori lexical bundle? Artinya again there are 2 things ya. Yang satu frequency bisa terjadi berulang. Terus yang kedua ada range-nya. Dan ini is not only appears in for example like our own paper sehingga beda. Misalnya to find out appears as a lexical bundle. Kalau Ibu cari di Koka dan BNC pasti muncul. So that's the connections actually that I can find out. Sometimes that we cannot find the informations kalau 2 kata atau lebih, tapi if that identified as a lexical bundle biasanya muncul di korpus itu. Begitu Bu. Jadi stepping stone-nya mulainya dari lexical bundle kita.
Thank you very much Pak Eka.
Baik.
Insightful, really.
Sama-sama Ibu belajar.
Really insightful and some inspiration. Jadi supaya mahasiswa juga berpikir meneliti tidak hanya pengajaran di kelas. Ya.
Kadang pilihan kata juga, judul. Kenapa milih judul ini? Aspeknya apa dari itu menarik untuk diulik juga. Karena berpengaruh kan hal-hal seperti itu. Begitu. Bermain kata. Kalau Pak Udi kan beda beliau. Saya bermain kata.
Kalau saya bermain hati, Pak.
Aduh. Word game ya.
Saya mendapat tantangan sebetulnya untuk mengadakan penelitian tentang lexical bundle di hospitality industry. Kemarin mengundang ada 1 orang, kebetulan teman dekat saya, dia HR manajernya The Raffles Hotel.
Hotel.
Ya, dan dia cerita banyak. Kita butuh banyak sekali masukan berkaitan dengan research akademik untuk hospitality industry. Apa yang bisa? Nah kan seperti itu pilihan kata. Kenapa mereka harus mengungkapkan hal seperti ini? Kenapa ini yang bisa? Tidak hanya something that tujuan mereka, what is their expectation? They need to communicate not just on the surface, bukan seperti teks saja, tapi more to natural. Nah, ini yang harus diotomatisasi. Artinya bahwa something that what expressions that they need to know that people easily to identify that they use in the context of the target language in this case, then that they can use actively, naturally. In the context of
hospitality.
Yeah, hospitality.
Yes. Let me escort you, for example, in hospitality program. In hospitality program, let me escort you. I'm familiar kan. Yuk saya anterin nggak bahasa Indonesianya kan gitu. Yuk saya
belajar bersama-sama nanti. Waduh, senangnya.
Really interesting. Okay, student. From the participant from student, there are 72 participants.
Wow.
Pagi ada 95. This morning, at the first 30 minutes, 95 students. Probably they have other classes.
Other class, yes.
Yes.
I think they are busy absorbing what Pak Eka has just presented. A lot of terms like lexical bundles, vocabulary profile. What else? Meta-Linguistic Awareness.
And most common, I think students also get some information from you about most common words, K1, and the next 1,000 common words, K2, and which is 70%. Most frequently used words in academic writing, right?
Yeah.
And academic word list about proper name and technical words. And off-list words.
Nah, jadi kalau misalnya mereka buat skripsi, they have to check whether their writing is academic enough. They can use LexTutor. Wah, ternyata profil tulisannya seperti ini begitu. Ya.
Masih banyak menggunakan in my opinion.
See, that's moving from spoken language to written language. Kita juga bukan hal yang perfect juga, artinya all of us still learning. I mean, but this kinds of informations become parameter for us to learn, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we use English as a foreign language too.
Yeah, of course.
Ya, itu.
Ini apakah harus kita promokan ada door prize, Pak Udi, supaya ada yang bertanya lagi dari mahasiswa?
Tengok. Ini salah satu mahasiswa aktif kita dari Pontianak dia.
Oh ya, ada.
Ya, PMM. Agustinus, are you interested in asking any questions that Pak Eka has presented?
Actually, I still confused what Pak Eka has.
That's what I guess.
I'm sorry to make you confused, Agustinus.
No.
Okay. Lagi menyerap, dia busy absorbing ya, and trying to make.
I note it down. Okay.
Oh, somebody is raising.
Titan Mirani, raise hand. Okay, Titan Mirani. Silakan, Titan.
All right, am I audible?
Yes, Titan, I can hear you clearly.
All right, thank you. So my name is Titan Mirani from Tanjung Priok University. I would like to ask questions about lexical bundles. So in academic writing, for example, when I write academic paper and then most of the paragraph using lexical bundles, is it all right if I use lexical bundles in most of the paragraph? For example, there are 6 or 7 paragraphs, and then in each of the paragraphs using lexical bundles. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Titan. That's a good question.
Yes,
if you still remember my graphic before, how many % is lexical bundle in the whole corpus? It's only 2.something percent. 2.something%.
2.4%.
2.4%.
2.4%.
That's small. Tapi if you are not able to use that, because actually lexical bundle, the functions of lexical bundle is for the frequency, the fluency of your writing. Yeah, so lexical bundle helps you to express your thought in a good fluency. So fluency does not mean that not like speaking, but your idea is interconnected to one another and it flows nicely. And this lexical bundle, because the specific terms, the activity, what you call that, the groups of words being used is actually, well, not only popular for us, but actually it's acknowledged, it's also identified from other corpus. So then it should be acceptable. Now, if you use too many lexical bundles, then what is the content? So I think it's not possible for that. So you can use lexical bundle in order to bridge your ideas, or to connect your idea from one to another. So that's usually then you can use. That's why it's not only from what you call that, the structure, the length of the lexical bundle, but the function is more important. What is it for? For example, if you want to express contradiction, what kinds of expression that you can use? So that kinds of, well, I mean, information that give us what kinds of clue. So for me, if I were you, and still at the moment, for example, I will analyze for example, like a journals. If you are thinking about academic writing, or if you are interested in a little bit fun, but also meaningful. Remember, for example, if you read some magazines related to hospitality industry, about hotels, about vacation and so on, they have a very good words. And if you can analyze and you can find out what lexical bundles, for example, tranquility, right, example, cozy and so on, it's a very good word. Now, if you can adapt that later on into your writing sounds very good, or your speaking sounds very good. That's actually something that you need to take or have a look. So something that lexical bundles is related to something that you go with the second one, deliberate learning. Something that you are interested in, you try to analyze that, and then you try that in frequency development, use that, take notes, and then also apply that into your speaking, into your writing, and then later on you are able to produce that better, more than just, for example, as an exercise in this case. I hope that answering, Titan.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Titan, for your questions. Really interesting, Pak Eka. Tranquility, cozy, and healing. Itu the most popular words
Yes.
in this millennial era. Mau healing ke hotel, mau healing jalan-jalan. Need tranquility. Okay, it's really interesting. So, frequency, yeah. In lexical bundles relate to frequency and also range. If I'm not mistaken.
Frequency and range. Yeah.
There any other questions from the audience, participants? So what comes in your mind when you open the lecture here? You mentioned about life is a series of lessons that must be experienced in order to be understood. We experience failure and we have to try.
See,
relate to lexical bundles. Frekuensi ya.
Oh, guys, I see Yolanda Zetira is raising hand. So
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Zetira.
Yolanda Zetira. Okay, Yolanda.
All right. Hello. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam, Yolanda. Good afternoon.
Okay, Yolanda.
All right. So, if we talk about the four type that usually educators including of the vocabulary like listening, speaking, reading, and writing, right? So my question is about writing. So when we write about the words, are there any English words with two U's in a row? That's my question, sir.
Sorry, once again, are there English words that... Once again, fluency does not mean speaking too fast, Yolanda, but your idea should be well delivered. Remember, this is online, right? Okay. Once again.
That's my habit, sir. That's my habit. I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You speak very good, though.
Okay.
Slow down.
So my question is about writing. Are there any English words with two U's in a row? I mean, like W, U and U in a row, sir.
U and U in a row.
U in a row. Okay. Berurutan.
Okay. But what is that context, though? I mean that again, then, when you talked about you in academic writing, that's the things, and yeah. So.
Yes, sir. I mean, like the other word.
I'm teaching composition, Yolanda. I mean, I'm teaching composition.
I know, sir.
So the things is actually with the compositions, usually I do not recommend people or my students to use you, because that's gonna be more to, again, spoken language in the context. If you are presenting in front of people, then yes, you can touch people, you can, well, say hi to people, and you use you directly because you talk directly. But in writing, you cannot do that one. You don't know who is gonna be the audience of your writing. Okay, so you in terms of academic writing is not recommended, again, because you don't know the audience. Especially in academic writing, what is more important is not the doer, but what happened. Something happened. It is believed that, it is actually common to say so. Someone stated, instead of you can use someone, or people, some people believe this. Some people state, opponent agrees. Many things about that. You are not, what you call it, in my class mostly, then I will not recommend using you, because sounds, the register is not going to be academic enough. And then the second one, again, because you are not, this is spoken language, not written language. Is that answering?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Pak Eka. So try not to use you in academic writing or in writing the composition. Good. Thank you, Pak Eka. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, there's one new message.
From Fahri.
Yes.
How to develop meta-linguistic awareness, and what age does meta-linguistic awareness begins to develop? Well, this is second language acquisition then.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you attend this class with your lectures. I think probably already you learned and yeah. So there's a controversy to say then when is the best time to learn a language? Chomsky said critical period hypothesis. What is that? So about adolescents, so yeah, about 12 years old, something like that. According to him, is the best time to learn a language because what? People has what's so called by language acquisition device, LAD, right? So you need to activate that. Tapi communicative approach does not say, kinds of like agree just to activate that. Jadi orang kalau dicemplungkan ke tempat di mana dia orang bisa bicara, then they will automatically learn. Actually, it's not. Yeah. It takes a kind of scaffolding. There's a kind of support from parents, from teachers, how to say that, how to write down better. This is what's so-called by communicative approach. Now, in terms of meta-linguistic awareness, again, these kinds of scaffolding, these kinds of support from adults is actually a process for someone to identify, to kinds of recognize their meta-linguistic awareness or meta-linguistic skills. Yeah. So then that's why I mean that sometimes a discussion, sometimes you can say that feedback, yeah, until what is the best feedback? You do not just listen from people, but until you find out, this is what we call uptake. Uptake is actually when you identify, oh, this is not wrong, this is not correct, this is the correct one. For example, when I say, he go, oh no, he goes. This is what's so called by uptake. So you can identify that. And this is part of meta-linguistic awareness. If you are able to identify those kinds of common or frequently mistakes or common mistakes, people say that, yeah, then you are on the level that you understand better meta-linguistic awareness. What age? Sometimes that's why, because the controversy, like early age, if you are work with that, but mostly early age, we do not aware. So this is the difference between later on acquisition and learning, where acquisitions, mostly you do not aware when you try to get the language. When you learn, then awareness is there. And probably when you start learning, when you pay attention on that, the process will be, will happen over there. Is that answering? Fahri?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Fahri. Thank you, Pak Eka. Wow, really interesting. Jadi melebar ke second language acquisition, uptake, and other approaches. Yes. Really interesting. Tadi saya lihat ada Nugraha. Raise hand. Nugraha. Okay, is constructing and developing ideas in academic writing is more effective when the writer have vast knowledge in lexical, also the choice of words.
This is a very good, interesting, and also interesting questions. Constructing and developing ideas in academic writing is more effective. What does it mean by effective in this case? Effective, number one, you have to answer the questions, right? If you do not answer the questions, then whatever beautiful, whatever nice you're writing, then it's not going to be effective. Yeah. So you need to be able to answer the questions. You need to be able to achieve the objective. Now, whether, for example, then what knowledge, lexical knowledge help that, you can see that one. Wilkins in 1940s say, if you still, you're probably aware with that. Then
yes.
People can express their thought if they know words more than grammar. Yeah. So if you know grammar, but you don't know words, you cannot express your thought.
Yes.
So when you try to combine, I mean that if you try to direct that, it seems that's true. Yeah. I mean that if you know words, but again, then knowing words, what does it mean? Let's come back to Nation's point before. It's not only about the meaning, but you have very clear with the form. You are very clear with the usage or the functions. Then if you can connect, we can use that, then you can answer the four strands also. You know that very well. Yeah, you know what to do, what you want to achieve, and what process that you can do inside. So basically, that's the things. Think about the objective. Think about answering the question. That's number one to make it effective. And in terms of the process, I believe that you can consider parts of this in terms of, for example, like choice of words, in terms of collocations. That's parts of knowing a word. Yeah. You know the synonyms, you know the antonyms, you know the collocations, you know the context, the discourse. In this case, lots of things actually you can identify by knowing a word itself. Is that answering, Nugraha?
So that's how elaborate the ideas between paragraph in text.
How to elaborate ideas between paragraph in the text. Yes, this is interesting. This is also happened in my class. Writing, especially academic writing, there's no way just to write down. Well, I mean, if you sit for IELTS test, sometimes then in a short time, you have to do a plan. Planning is important. So in order to produce a piece of writing, something that you start first is actually selecting topic. Again, selecting topic related to answering questions, yeah, whether this topic is related to the questions. The second one, you need to make an outline. That's why for me, outline is very crucial, and I will grade outline. Outline that's related to number one, introductory paragraph. How introductory paragraph is important because you can see over there not only how to grab the audience attentions with the hook, but your thesis statement, your key points. If your thesis statement unclear, I believe the rest will be unclear. When your introductory paragraph successful, then what is the supporting details? Then you have to write down over there. So planning, outline will be very crucial in order to elaborate your ideas. Whether your idea, for example, of the topic, then you can see that from your outline. Yeah, so outline in this case is, again, important. And later on in your conclusion, we are talking about writing. Yeah, in the conclusions later on, you need to restate what you have mentioned before in your what you call that introductory paragraph, in your thesis statement, or you paraphrase again your body paragraphs in this case. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Nugraha.
I think we can finish the meeting in the next 5 minutes, guys.
Oke, Pak Udi.
Ya, Pak Eka, haus banget, Pak Eka. Minum dulu, Pak.
Ya, minum dulu, Pak Eka. Minum
It's fun though, it's fun. I enjoy also the talk, menyenangkan. Terima kasih. Jadi belajar lagi, buka-buka disertasi lagi.
Pak Udi is getting hot. It's getting hot. Like hot, tiba-tiba harus.
No, I make notes and I have some new keywords to the Google ya.
Silahkan dicek di Google for strengths of language learning, Polnations.
Yeah, that's very important for strengths of language learning.
I hope our students can also, build their interest around this topic. Jadi nanti deskripsi itu bisa on this area.
Yeah, betul. We do really hope that our student will get some inspiration from your research, Pak Eka, and from your experience.
Sama-sama, Ibu.
Here.
We can do research together. This is the plan ya, Pak Udi ya, Bu Dina.
Ayo, Pak Udi, it's really Yuk.
Ayo.
I'm interested in hotel. What is it?
Hospitality, Bu. Ya, Bu.
Hospitality.
Saya yaitu koneksi. Kebetulan kemarin saya undang dia. Jadi next time probably then we can get the access. They can give us the data. I mean magazines, books, and so on, and we identify. Nanti mereka membutuhkan itu.
Oh,
beberapa mahasiswa, nanti kalau ada yang bagus mahasiswanya bisa saya promosikan. Kemarin ada mahasiswa saya satu diterima magang ngajar untuk staff yang new entry di The Raffles.
Oh,
why not? Kalau misalnya ada, nanti we can recommend dan mereka bisa seleksi.
I mean, this is really interesting information.
Yeah, ESP.
In 2000, I used to teach in Crown Plaza, Pak.
Wow.
Next to Atmajaya University. I'm really interested in talking about hospitality.
Hospitality,
vocabulary. Okay. if there are no other questions from the audience and participants, is there any, short statement from you that we can highlight, Pak Eka?
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Siti Aisah. The things is actually learning should be fun, yeah, for all of us. I mean, of course, then when we heard, at least at first, for example, certain terms, it sounds scary, but when we get inside, when we immerse ourselves, I'm sure that lots of things will be more enjoyable. And I believe young people like you at the moment, I'm thinking about this then, yeah. What kinds of soft skill that young people like you needed in the next 5-10 years? If you check World Economic Forum. That's reminding me. World Economic Forum says then critical thinking, communication, and also parts of them is negotiations will be very important. Now, these types of learning will practice such small skills that you may need later on for this. I'm sure in the future, jobs mostly can be done from home, but how can you boost yourself, promote yourself, then people can see, yes, you are the right person and we would like to hire you. That's what I would like to say. So let's enjoy all the learning process that you have. And I believe you are in the very good institutions with the Untitled Chapter. I amazed that and appreciate for all your good work. Yeah, yes.
The Untitled Jawara, yeah.
Jawara. So I hope then, yes, everyone will get success for all of what you're doing at the moment and later. Thank you, Ibu.
Thank you, Pak Eka. Please give a big applause to Pak Eka, atau boleh beri tanda emoticon applause. Audience, boleh.
Besok-besok harus diundang jadi itu, Bu, external examiner.
Iya, external examiner in thesis examination ya, Pak Udi ya.
Yes. Pak Udi on the list loh, on my list loh ya, Pak Udi.
Okay.
Bu Ais juga kalau mau, boleh-boleh nanti saya.
Pak Eka, we need to really bring this idea into our students, thought. Ya, jadi ini kan mungkin di Untirta masih agak-agak langka nih, agak jarang nih. So I think we need to really encourage our students to also take a look at this research area.
Boleh. Mari. Sama-sama belajar, Pak Udi, Bu Ais.
Ya, this is very interesting. Udah langsung apa ini, raise hand aku juga lah.
Tepuk tangan bukan raise hand. Okay, thank you very much indeed, Pak Eka. I don't think I need to make a conclusion. Pak Eka has already given a very big conclusion that do something in joyful, of course, right? Joyful heart, joyful learning, in fun, so that you can reach everything that you want to as your dream. I do really ask for apologize if there are some mistakes from me, and I do really thank you for.
Likewise, Bu, mohon maaf kalau ada yang salah, Bapak Ibu, teman-teman.
Thank you very much indeed, Pak Eka, Pak Udi, as the head office of International Office, and Ibu Dina for providing this webinar, this research talk. It's really interesting, and my students also would like to ask for another, research talk. This is the certificate of appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Eka.
Thank you, Pak Eka.
Thank you. Very honored to get this.
I'm really honored to,
Next time, probably the workshop not only online, probably can be held in offline, ya Pak Udi.
Yeah. Sama-sama, Bu.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me close the research talk webinar. Thank you very much indeed for your attending this research talk webinar, Pak Udi, Pak Eka, Bu Dina, and also for all other lecturers who attend this webinar, and also the students. Let me close the webinar. Saya nggak mau nutup ini webinarnya, Pak Udi.
Tapi kan research talk memang harus ditutup moderator loh.
Iya, betul. Aduh. Saking serunya. Ada satu hal yang sangat penting lagi yang ingin saya sampaikan, Meta-Linguistic Awareness. We should be aware. Kata kuncinya aware. In this pandemic era, we should be aware in every situation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Buah durian, buah selasih. Cukup sekian, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Jadi pusing.
Kebanyakan ngomong nih. Thank you, Pak.
Sama-sama.
Not only students but me myself. But this is really interesting, seriously. Thank you so much ya.
Thank you so much.
Sama-sama.
Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend.
Bertemu lagi di event-event berikutnya. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pak Eka.
Thank you so much.
See you later.
See you later, Bu Ika, Pak Udi, Pak Eka. Pamit.
Ya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pamit, izin.
Pamit. Ya, izin leave.